brothers and sisters, welcome to another podcast of the Chrissy Imhotep show. Upload. Hope you're all fine. Hope you're well rested. It's been a scorching last few days. As you can see, I'm not in my familiar surroundings of my home or my studio. I'm in a park, a local park in Tottenham. You can see around me. I'm actually sitting on a bit of grass. So I don't know if you can see the grass. Yeah, I'm sitting on a bit of grass. I went to do some shopping up the road, so I've got my shopping bags there, my other bag with my bits and pieces in. Yeah, so I just want to give you a quick bit of just give you a quick post about Africa and about us Africans in the diasporas. So when I say diasporas, I mean in the Caribbean, I mean in the Americas, Europe, and even in Asia. Because there's a lot of us in Asia. In actual fact, to make a correction, we're indigenous to all the continents, because we're the first people, black people, African people, were the first people on the planet. So we're indigenous to every continent. So don't think that we're Europe and all the other continents apart from Africa itself, that we're not indigenous to those continents. We're indigenous to every continent. So black people who look like me and you, we're indigenous to every single continent around the globe. So everywhere is our home. But you know what I mean when I say predominantly in the diasporas, where a lot of us came to in the slave ships, when the oppressors took us there as slaves. So that's what I mean by diasporas. But really, we're indigenous to every continent. We need to go back home. That's what this is about. We need to make Africa home, because as some have seen it, some have not seen it. The system is crashing, and the only way we're going to get out of this system is if we set up home back in Africa again. So we need to get acquainted with our brothers and sisters in the motherland. We're going to put our egos aside. We're going to put all of our issues aside with the motherland. It's not perfect. Of course it's not perfect, because the oppressors, the colonizers, the Caucasians, when they went in there, they left it in a bad state. So it's us, the daughters and the sons of Africa. We need to go back there and to rebuild it. We're not going to expect them. We shouldn't expect them to rebuild it, because they're not going to do it. That is not their prerogative. That is not their aim. That is not their aspiration. It's our duty as the sons and daughters of Africa to go back into Africa and to rebuild it. Also, before I forget, it's also a park over there, so you might hear a lot of children screaming and shouting and crying. It's a park. There's also a nursery over there as well. So you're going to hear a lot of children cry, screaming and enjoying themselves. So I do apologise for that if it kind of distorts some of what we're saying here. But I'm sure you can still hear me. And if anything, I'll speak a bit louder so you can hear what I'm saying. So it kind of drains out the background noise. But anyway, so like I'm saying, so Africa is our home and we've got to go there. I'll advise you, I know not everybody's going to do it, but I'll advise as many as possible to think about buying land in Africa and think about setting up businesses in Africa as well. And if you've not done that, think about trading with Africans, with the brothers and sisters from the motherland. Think about trading with them and, liaising with them. You've got no excuses now, because we've got social media now. So we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got X, which is now, Twitter, which is now X. We've got TikTok, we've got YouTube, we've got many other platforms as well. And so there's no excuses anymore, to not do it, to not want to, liaise with our brothers and sisters from the continent. And whatever, how can I say this, and whatever issues we've had, for whatever better term, and I was going to use a bigger word, but for whatever issues and pickups and hang-ups we have with the brothers and sisters in the motherland, we've got to put those aside, because it's a new time now and it's a time to unite. Marcus Garvey told us that Africa, for those at home and those abroad, what Papa Marcus meant is that Africa belongs to the ones in the diasporas and the one, like I mentioned before, and the ones already living there in the motherland. So when Papa Marcus said Africa for the Africans, those at home, those abroad. Those at home mean the ones already there, and those abroad mean people like us in the diasporas. I mean, I'm from the UK, I was conceived over here in London, UK. I've got family members in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. I've also got family members in America as well. But I know for that we don't belong there. We're just there because of slavery, the enslavement of our, in their offspring and offspring and offspring, and down the line, we're still there. But originally, we know that Africa is our land, and if it wasn't for the enslavement of our ancestors by these wicked Europeans, we would still be there. And I think Africa, I've said this many times, and I've reasoned some of my friends that, you know, and some of my Rasta brethren, that if it wasn't for slavery, if the Europeans didn't come there and take us away from there to enslave us, Africa would now be a paradise, because I think all of us would have been still, because Africa's big enough to hold all of us. We would have been there, and we would have also been there. We would have built it up and made it into it would have been bigger than Europe and the Americas. Now you're seeing what they're doing in America now, how much billions of pounds that governments are spending in Europe and also in America, or they've got these big state-of-the-art buildings, and modern technology is gone through the roof. They've built up the world. It's like it's called the modern world. They've rebuilt it. They built it up. Africa would have been like that and some more, because I think us Africans, because we're more intelligent than the Europeans, we would have built up to a point where it would have been totally an unreal, a surreal experience. Some of the buildings you would have seen in Africa now would have been beyond our wildest dreams. And some of the civilizations, because our ancestors did it in Kemet, stroke Egypt, many thousands, some say even millions of years ago. I think Africa would have been on a par with that, yeah. Because I think, you know, us would have been there, because none of us would have been away from there, because we would have all stayed there if the Europeans had left us alone. And I think we would have just built and built and built, and would have just evolved and evolved and evolved. And all those buildings you see in Africa now, which are okay, but I think if we had stayed there along with our brothers and sisters which remained there, it would have been unbelievable. What we'd have accomplished. It would have been a surreal experience. And it's not too late. We could still go there and you know, get ourselves away from these places where nobody you know, nobody really wants us, nobody really likes us, nobody really appreciates us, and go back to where we belong. You know, how many times if some of you gone down the road and somebody said to you, go back to where you belong, or where you're from, and then when you say, oh, they say, but where you really from? But we know that we're from Africa. We're Africans. There's nothing anybody can do about it. And Marcus Garvey teaches us these things so many times. And then even down the line, more modern teachers like the likes of Dr. Ben, Dr. Joseph Ben Buchanan, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ivan van Sertima, and others, you know, Dr. Francis Cresswellson, and there's many other master teachers told us that Africa is our original home and we should go back there. And of course, the most prominent one is Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, has written books about going back to Africa, has written books about his philosophy and opinions and what we must do, and Africa should be the center of our, you know, of our lives. You know, basically, Africa is the aim, one race, one aim, one destiny, and that's where you all belong. Before you go to Africa, I'll advise you to go there. Before you go, let me rephrase this. Before you decide to go to Africa to live permanently, I'll advise you to go there and study it. To go there, maybe spend a week or two there, study it, look and see if it's where you want to go. Maybe go online and because Africa's a big place. It's 54 countries. So you might not want to go to just one. You might want, okay, if it's not going to be Ethiopia, then it might be Ghana, then it might be Nigeria. Even though there's a war in Nigeria going on now, but there's still places in Nigeria that you can go and enjoy yourselves. So don't let the war's going on in Nigeria put you off. And you know, a lot of these Europeans, they'll put things in the media that, oh, there's a war going on in Nigeria, to put you off, to deter you from going there. Don't let that stop you. Still go. As I said, Nigeria is a massive place. If there's a war in this particular part of Nigeria, there's another part of Nigeria that you can go and enjoy yourselves. Just do the research. I understand that the war in Nigeria is taking place a lot in Lagos. That's where. But there's places like in Nicha, like a Nicha in Nigeria, and other parts of Nigeria that is okay. But all you're gonna do, as I said, connect with Nigerians. You can do that on social media. You can do that if you could do that research online, and you can meet some Nigerians. As I said, you've got no excuses anymore not to do these things, not to, you know, go and repatriate back to the motherland, because our brothers and sisters are all over the place, and now they're all on social media. There's a lot of them follow me and say that they want me to come back home. They said, brother, they don't know me from Adam, but they just see my picture and they see that I post a lot of content which revolves around Africa and the black struggle, and a lot of Afrocentric themes, and about the Rasta movement and about Marcus Garvey. They know that I post a lot about those things, and so they try to connect with me and say, brother, how are you? We want you to come back home, and we want you to come back where you belong, and so on. And I've got friends and family who tell me these things that say that they saw an African brother or sister today, or they saw them, they spoke with an African brother or sister on social media, and they were told that they want them to come home to where they belong. So our brothers and sisters in the motherland are calling us back home. I remember a few years ago, there was a rights to return from the Ghanaian. Is it president? Prime Minister? I think it's the president of Ghana. A few years ago, I think it's the means of return. I can't remember his name. I'm going to try and find a picture and at least try and put him up on this stream. But yeah, he said so they want us home, not just in Ghana or Nigeria, other parts. I can't remember how many years ago it was. It was probably about 7-8 years ago. It was before COVID. This young Ethiopian empress was following me on Facebook. That was at a time when I was posting a lot on Facebook. I still post on Facebook, but I tend not to post as much as I used to because I'm trying to run these channels and I've got other things I've done. I'm even trying to write a book. And then she reached out to me and she said, Chrissy, when are you going to come? When are you going to return to, when are you going to come and visit us in Kenya? But I know what she meant when she said that. She didn't just mean just to come visit them in Kenya like that. She meant to say, when are you going to come, and stay or come and take up residency in Kenya? I had another empress that was Kenya, so Ethiopian. I had another Ethiopian empress which said, look, when are you coming to Ethiopia to live? Or to stay? Yeah. And I must admit, at that time, I was very conscious, but at that time I thought to myself, wow, this is strong because our brothers and sisters really want us to come home. So I said to her, I think I want to come, but at the moment I'm not quite ready. I don't have the finances. I've got to look after my mum, and I've got things to do. I've got things I'm running, and it's costing me money and time. But I said, when things are settled, I'm going to definitely take up residency out there one day. And that was about 7-8 years ago. So that's nearly 10 years ago. And I'm almost ready for that time to come now where I'm going to get the money, or got the money to go and repatriate. And the good thing about Africa, you can go and stay because it's very cheap. It's much cheaper than the UK, and you don't forget you're going to be around people who look like you, people who want you there. You belong there because that's where you're from. Your ancestors are from there, and it will come to a stage where you can go out there, build accommodation, build housing, stay there, and you can still go to the Caribbean, and you can still come to Europe. You can still go from Africa to any part of the world you want. But the thing is, and the advantage is, you're now in the place where you belong. That's where you are. That's where your DNA is. Your ancestors are from there. So nobody's going to look at you and say, oh, what are you doing here? Or where you from? Or and so on. They know because by the mere colour of your skin, you belong. You automatically belong there. And so you've got a lot more comfort. Oh, don't forget the climate is small too, because we're people of the sun. We're supposed to be in the sun. That's what the Father, the Almighty Father of creation, gave us this melanated skin for us to withstand the heat from the sun. And Africa, for most of the year, is sunny out there. You come in Europe, it's always raining, and even this year's summer, it's been struggling to even. The last few days, we've got a few days of sunshine, but it's been a struggle this year. For those of you who are based in the UK, you should know what I mean when I say that. The whole of this summer so far, because we're about 2 months into the summer, and so far this summer it's been poor weather-wise. It's only really now the last few days we've got some nice sunshine, and apparently this next week is going to be quite nice with sunshine. In Africa, that comes naturally. It suns most time for the year. Of course, you're going to get rainy days because we need the rain for the crops to grow, and otherwise, if we don't get the crops to grow, we get nothing to eat, nothing to drink. Also, we ain't got no clothes because a lot of the crops that grow can make clothing as well, and we need the rain to fall for us to eat and for us to live and for us to exist. And so, but when it rains much more times than it suns, the sun also. We need the sun also for because it helps with the growing of crops as well. So the sun complements the rain. But when it's an imbalance of pure rain and very, very little sunshine, and especially if you're a melanated being, then it can be really miserable for you, and it can really hurt your spirit. And the Almighty made it. Everything with the Almighty everything is in balance. So He made it so that we get sufficient rain for the year and sufficient sunshine. But these Europeans, because they're what we call, they're a synthetic type of people. They're more into technology and more electronical things, whereas we're more nature orientated. African people are more nature oriented, whereas the Europeans are more synthetic. They're living more of an artificial world. Everything for them is like artificial, and it's fake. Whereas us, because we're the first beings and the most powerful beings on earth, we're more into nature and creation of things which are natural. Like that's why I sit here in the grass, I'm surrounded by trees, I'm surrounded by bushes and so on. This is nature. This is our people for you. You know, this is us. And one of these days I'm going to do a post about how it was in the beginning, where our people were ordered to cultivate the land, cultivate the crops of the field. Because not many people talk about these things. You know, there's only a few people talk about these things. The likes of A.J. Varma, Dr. A.J. Varma, the head of the Holy Cryptic Church around the world. He's one of the very few guys, one of the best teachers I've ever heard, and one of the best teachers of all time. He's one of the very few teachers I've heard speak about these things. Even our people don't talk about these things enough. But these things are very important to show us what our purpose on earth is. Yeah, not was, is. Yeah, because the Father created us, especially Nubian melanated beings of skin like me and yours, to do these things. It wasn't for the Europeans to do it, it was us. But the Europeans, because of slavery, push us out of the way, and they're now taking charge. And because they're in charge, because they're doing a job that they weren't supposed to do, everything is in imbalance. So my people, as I said, please make Africa your home, make it your destination, make it the pinnacle of your lives. I know not everybody's going to follow suit because everybody's different, but if you want to benefit yourselves, if you want to, in terms of having a long-term vision and benefiting long-term, I'd advise you to think about buying land in the motherland and linking with brothers and sisters all over YouTube, all over social media, not just YouTube, but YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X as it's now called, and all over social media. And you can, I'll leave you some links in the description and so on, if I can. And as I said, benefit yourselves by thinking about Africa, because blacks in Europe, our time is literally up. They've finished with us. They've been finished with us for a long time. So we've got to really start thinking about the long term, and also our offspring, our children as well, will benefit from being in an environment where they're more loved, they're more appreciated, and they're more, in tune to, because they're not supposed to be here. They're supposed to be in Africa. That's where they're supposed to be, in the motherland. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. My brothers and sisters, I just hope that you understand, and I'm sure you do, because you're all intelligent. We're the first people, so we're all intelligent, we know, but sometimes you need a bit of push, a bit of motivation, and to wake your souls up a bit, and for you to know that this is a serious thing. Because I personally think we can't spend at least another 10 years in Europe. I think within 10 years, all of us who are black need to come out of Europe. We have to come out of Europe. I'll say within 10 years. So, and I'm going to give you references the next time. There's an album. There's one reference for you. There's an album by one of my favourite reggae singers, Hugh Mundell, the late great, rest in peace. He passed away in 1983. He was only 21 years of age, but he put out an album when he was only 15 years of age in 1978, 16, called Africa Must Be Free by 1983. And literally, that album is talking about unity of the African race and looking at Africa, as the long-term aim and the long-term goal. And every song has a different message, but it all entails to Africa being at the top of our priority list, and that's where it should be. And that album came out 46 years ago, and nothing should change. Everything should still be the same from that day to this. But even before, as I said, the Marcus Garvey messages in the early 20th century and so on. So, as I said, my people, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. You don't have to pay a penny. Like the videos, it's free to do so. Share the video, it's free to do so. And leave your comments down below in the comment section. I want to hear from you all, because you're all important to me. It's free to do so. Spread the message. We're back with some more content very soon. I want to do a content very soon on Jimmy Cliff, because he's going to be 80. I think he's 80 today or tomorrow. I want to do something on Jimmy Cliff. I also want to do something on Sylvia Morris, because without Sylvia Morris, reggae wouldn't be the same as it is today. And these men need to be bigged up, and their stories need to be shared and told, and I would want to do that for you. So within the space of a week or so, you get Sylvia Morris and you get the Jimmy Cliff content, and of course we're going to have more Africa chat and more other great content coming your way. So you look after yourselves. Chrissy loves you all. Big up yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. And remember what I said: Africa first. Peace.